Welcome to another episode of The Transition Wrap, covering from Friday 28th of February to Thursday 5th of March. My name is Paul Shelton, coming to you from Transition Australia. The vast majority of people want action on the climate emergency. We want to see the transition to a low energy, low consumption and community focused Australia happening, not at some point in the future, but right now. But it's hard to keep up with the actions, groups and initiatives, and sometimes this makes it hard to take that important first step from concerned and aware to actively involved. Well, that's what this wrap is all about, giving you a quick glimpse of some of the huge numbers of events happening across the country so you can get more active in your town. So let's get on with it. First, a big shout out to all those who participated in the amazing day of action last Saturday, the 22nd. This was a huge effort that saw thousands of people congregating across 14 different cities and loads more smaller towns, the length and breadth of Australia, to demand action in this climate emergency. These events are super important as they show people who are not yet involved in being part of the solution and the politicians who are doing their very best not to be, that people aren't stopping until action is taken. In normal years, this would be a reason to back off a little bit on the events this week, but this is no normal year. So as well as regular weekly events, workshops and activities, there is already lots of planning underway for the next school strike on the 15th of May and a May Day walk-off on the 1st of May. But we're starting this week in the beautiful Yarra Valley at the Peace Farm in Yarra Junction. This is a social and networking event looking at what a downshifting revolution could look like in the Yarra Valley. If you've never heard about the downshifting revolution, then this is about upskilling and growing community connectivity to build resilience and local capacity, to grow food, use local resources, including the energy of people. Local experts James Allen from Permaculture Yarra Valley and Mayor Wood from Peace Farm will be there to guide the discussion whilst enjoying locally produced food. This event starts at 6 p.m. and goes until 9 on Friday, Feb 28 at the Peace Farm in Settlement Road, Yarra Junction. Still on Friday, but in the Western Victorian town of Geelong, comes an event with a question I've often wondered about. We know that capitalism has failed the climate, but what's the alternative? This event is going to look at how the ever-expanding drive to increase profits above all else really doesn't serve us very well, and certainly doesn't do well when caring for the climate, the planet's ecology, and human rights is concerned. Are there other systems that would put human needs first? I'm assuming the answer is yes, otherwise this will be a depressing event, but if you want to make sure, then head to 127 Myers Street, Geelong this Friday to find out what they are. Let's head up to Sydney now for the regular Repair Cafe Sydney North, who will be helping to reteach repair skills to stop jewellery, ceramics, shoes, toys, clothes, bags and other items from ending up in landfill by some skillful tinkering and repairing. Repairing is a great way to reduce both waste but also decrease our carbon footprint because for every new thing you buy, there's a material and embodied energy in production. So head to Longville Road in Lane Cove this Saturday from 2 to 4 to break the cycle and repair rather than waste. We haven't had a shout out for our friends at 350 Australia for a while, so let's head to Melbourne for their Time to Rise event that's happening on Saturday from 9 till 4 at the Drill Hall in Melbourne's multicultural hub. This event picks up the new campaign #CutAllTies, which aims to put pressure on people, companies and politicians everywhere to sever their ties with the fossil fuel industry and their corrupting influence on our political process. This event will train you how to lead a local Cut All Ties action and support you to make it happen. It's open to everyone regardless of how much you know about 350's work, and there's even a public webinar available to help share the message. Staying in Melbourne on Saturday, we head down towards the beach at Elwood for a community forum called Heat, Fire and Flood. This is being held by the Port Phillip Emergency Climate Action Network and the Bayside Climate Crisis Action Group, and we'll look at the local impacts of the climate crisis, but also what it means for the community. To help this discussion, they'll be hosting Professor Nigel Tapper, Lalith Ramachandran and Rob Gell from Rethink Sustainability. This event happens at the Phoenix Theatre in Elwood from 3:30 to 5:30. There's also a bunch of XR events happening across Australia. If you're new to XR, then you might want to head to one of their Heading for Extinction and What to Do About It sessions that gives you insight into what XR is and how it works. These sessions also highlight just how important it is to activate people in non-violent protest to achieve the magic 3.5% of the population that will force governments to change. There are sessions on Saturday in Portland at the Portland Library, on Tuesday in Brunswick East at Ceres, and Wednesday at La Trobe University. Or if you're looking to take your activism to the next level, then there's civil disobedience training in Fitzroy, Melbourne this Saturday at 10 a.m, and also the Regen 101 training that looks at how we can look after ourselves and our fellow activists as we try to drive action in the climate emergency. There's one of these at Clifton Hill this Saturday at 10 a.m. Back up in Sydney, there are some really interesting things happening in the political landscape. You might not be aware, but there are some members of Parliament that are trying to change the narrative away from business as usual towards structuring our economy based around sustainability and sustainable jobs and products. The Climate Change Bill 2020 is one such piece of legislation that's currently on the agenda. This bill provides for an independent climate change commission, an economy-wide net zero target by 2050, economy-wide emissions budgets and national plans for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, a national climate risk assessment and plans for adapting to climate change, and transparent monitoring and reporting on progress and plans. But we have a two-party controlled parliamentary system, so it will rely on public support to get it to a vote. This Sunday, the Make Climate Change Bill 2020 a Reality event is trying to achieve just that. Led by former New South Wales Fire Commission Chief Greg Mullins and independent member for Warringah Zali Steggall, this rally wants to send a message to Canberra that it's time to take the politics out of climate change and take real action. It's on Sunday at the St Leonard's Park Music Show from 11am. And finally, International Women's Day is fast approaching, and whilst they are a bit early, we want to give a shout out to the Women's Health West Group, who are holding a feminist approach to climate justice. This event will welcome Lydia Thorpe, former Greens MP for Northcote and climate activist, and Dr Deborah Parkinson from the Gender and Disaster Pod to present a feminist approach to climate change, looking particularly at those who are disproportionately impacted by the effects of climate change and discussing how we can dismantle colonialism and capitalism in the fight towards climate justice. This happens at Tuesday the 3rd of March from 8:30 at VU's Metro West campus in Footscray. So that's all we have time for this week, and that's only a smattering of the events that are going on all across the country. If you've got an event that you want some help in promoting and maybe to get included in future national wraps, then take the 2 minutes to load it up on the Transition Australia website at www.transitionaustralia.net. Or if you have the inside scoop on sites that host events, particularly outside of the major East Coast cities, then drop us a message on the Transition Australia Facebook page, because we know there are loads happening and we want to help more people hear about it. So get out, get loud and get involved this week. My name's Paul Shelton. This has been the Transition Wrap. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
The Climactic Collective.